when somebody comes in and gives you an objection and you're sitting there talking to them, why would they give you an objection? What would be the natural reasons? You ever see anybody walk through a store and somebody says, "Can I help you?" And you're like, "No." You're like, "Okay," right? So what happens when you're in business and somebody's engaging you and then you say, "Great," and Grant always says, is there more information you need, or is there any more information you need to make the decision to move forward? And if somebody says, "Well, I'm just not ready yet," right? Under that scenario, you would have to acknowledge that. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is you're not ready to move forward. So many of my customers thought the same thing until they did make the decision, and here was the result. If you could achieve that kind of result, is that something you'd like more information on, or something you'd like to do, right? So you're acknowledging it, you're making a motivating statement, and then you're asking a question. And to me, I know this is a interesting visualization, but I think of the tractor going down the combine. It's just combining into the tractor, right? Like all conversations are like this. It just keeps turning and stuff just keeps coming through, right? The goal, though, is to move it to a conclusion. So asking the question, Natalie, what other information would you need to make, or would you need to have in order to make the decision? Or asking the question, is there any more information you need to move forward that would help you move forward? Any kind of question at the end is going to get another response versus just leave it hanging. I've seen people acknowledge, "Oh man, yeah, a lot of our customers come in and say the same thing." Where's that going to take me?
I don't know.
What's the customer going to say if they say, "Well, I was thinking about this, but I'm still thinking about it." And I say, "Yeah, and I acknowledge it."
Yeah.
Well, many of our customers come in here and say the same thing.
The customer's not going to buy.
They're going to move on.
Yeah.
But once they did make the decision and move forward, they came back and said, "We're so sorry it took so long to do it. That was so amazing."
That's
Whatever
the
that
motivate
is.
part.
That's the motivate part. And ask, if you made the decision today and you had this experience, would you feel that was a good decision or a bad decision? And what are they going to say?
It's a good decision.
Or you do what Grant says. Is there any other information you would need to make the decision? Right? What have I not provided to you for you to choose to move forward? And if you don't, it doesn't mean every time someone's going to say yes, but if you just leave people hanging, which is what I see in communication. I see it with employees. I see it with customer engagements. I see it. It's like leaving conversations open-ended because you can't ask for the hard question.
Well, for a lot of people, putting my, I've struggled with this before. So if I put that hat on and not have thought through this from a practice standpoint in the same way that you do, a lot of people only stop at the acknowledge part because they've never practiced or role played the motivate and the ask. Like, okay, what are the list of objections? How do you acknowledge that? Good, you're making the first step with like the customer situation that you said. But then we need to come up with, as a business, what the motivate piece, what statistics you need in order to motivate, what pieces of information and data, and then what are the key questions to ask to be able to turn and pivot that conversation. And a lot of times people just don't.
They don't do it because you're 100% correct. If I owned a business, which I do,
yes,
and I wanted to know what the top, every time I had an employee give me an objection, I'd write it down. And I would create my top employee objections. And I would literally take this AMA structure and I would role play those objections in front of my phone. The employee objects to something. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to motivate, and I'm going to ask the employee a question. If you have things like personal, professional, financial goals, this is a great hook. If they're continually late and they come in and you say, "I noticed you were late today," and they say, "Yeah, my car broke down," then I can acknowledge it. So what I'm hearing you say is that your car broke down. Motivate. Do you remember when we had a conversation about your personal, professional, financial goals and how you could buy a new car if you did these things that you agreed to do? And then ask, what do we need to do to ensure that you can get that new car by you doing the things you committed to do for the business? Because this is the second time, and what did we agree would happen on the third time?
Bye-bye.
So you're going to complicate your car troubles because you won't have a paycheck.